The FNaF movie is only a week away, and before it comes out, why don't we rank the FNaF movies that could have been? Yo, what's up gamers? It's me, KipsterMc! And to celebrate the FNaF movie coming out in just a week, why don't we look at all the cancelled scripts that Skullcoffin described and rank them based on how good of a FNaF movie they could have been. Now my only rule for this is how good of a FNaF movie they could have been, regardless of how good they could have been as some other type of movie. So let's get started with, first off, the very bottom, 9th place. Plushie Steak Manhattan. Okay, do I even have to explain it? And at number 8, oh, well, actually, there is one thing I'm curious about. All he said was that was Plushie Take Manhattan. Did he mean that any, like, Jason Takes Manhattan way? Or Muppets Take Manhattan way? I don't think it would have worked either way. There's a reason why he burned that script with fire. And actually, on to number 8 is going to be the Pawn Shop screenplay, which, as a movie, probably would have been better than many of the other canceled scripts, but as a FNaF movie specifically, I don't think it will have even worked. The premise of an animatronic somehow ending up in a pawn shop of all places, and a kid having to reunite the animatronic with the other ones, that does not sound like FNaF at all. And as Skullcoffin himself explained, it felt more like a boy-ass animatronic with too much adventure and not enough horror, which... This is a horror franchise! You're gonna need the horror somewhere, like, I mean... The movie we're getting clearly is going to have a lot of that. And then at number 7 is going to be the Random Charlie screenplay, which, if you ignore the word random, that sounds like it would probably have a lot to do with the games, right? No, the names are just a coincidence. Probably sound like a Mario movie situation where they took a lot of the names from the game, but no, the names actually matched up with what they should have been, which doesn't really make sense for an adaptation. It would be like making a Lord of the Rings film, but Frodo is some, like, cyborg soldier dude, and Gandalf's, like, his sidekick or something. Like, that's the kind of thing that the details that Skullcoffin mentioned about this screenplay feel like to me. Like, they just took the names, but didn't really know how to use the characters. Also, often say that the FNaF elements included seemed kind of random, and there weren't really real stakes, so it probably wouldn't have even been a good movie anyway. And at number 6 is going to be the Insane screenplay, which, okay, yeah, seeing the puppet and the Funtime animatronics involved would have been cool to see in live action, although as part of, like, a standalone movie or the first movie, the Funtime would not fit story-wise, I think. But similar to the Pawn Shop screenplay, Skullcoffin said that this one didn't really have enough horror in it, as it felt more like an action movie, which FNaF is not action. It's not. Except maybe Security Breach, but aside from that one, it's not action. It just isn't. Also, seemed like it would just been too overstuffed, which, yeah, I guess confusing and a bit overstuffed would make sense for FNaF, wouldn't really work for a movie. And at number 5, starring our top 5, is going to be the F screenplay, which, yeah, judging by what Skullcoffin said about it, would have been absolutely terrible. Like, I mean, animatronics being built in a secret underground factory for the government? This is FNaF we're talking about. These animatronics were made for entertainment but got haunted by dead kids. Why would the government be building them? Seriously, this feels more like in line with older video game movies where they would take general ideas from the games but just completely miss the mark. I mean, only a few newer video game movies still do that, but it's less common now at least. But you know what, as absolutely terrible as that screenplay did sounded, at least seems like it would have been bad in a fun way, like Mortal Kombat Annihilation, where you can at least have fun watching how bad it is, which is why it's not lower on the list, even though realistically it probably should be lower on the list. And at number 4 is going to be the Ghost Tracker screenplay. What are you gonna call? So, Ghost Trackers exploring Freddy's seems like an idea that could work for a movie. Like, I mean, we've seen it in, like, some fan-made FNaF VHS tape videos before, and it's worked pretty well in the context of VHS tape analog horror. Not sure if it would be as effective for a movie. Not to mention, according to Skullcoffin, it didn't really have enough of a connection between the characters and Freddy, so as a result, Freddy's wasn't focused on as much of it as it should have been, which probably hurt the script a lot, but it does seem like an idea that could work well for horror, though, at least. And at number 3 is going to be the Cassy screenplay, and Scott mentioning the name Cassy is probably going to be the closest confirmation we'll get to Cassy being the kid that possesses Golden Freddy, unless they say it in the movie as well. Now this one, I know that Cawthon was joking about this when he said it, but he did describe it as being the most accurate script because of the fact that while it would have been satisfying for longtime fans because it just had tons of stuff from the games crammed in, would have been too confusing for casual audiences and newcomers. Yeah, that does sound like FNaF to me, but stuffing too many elements from the games into one film isn't gonna be enough for a standalone movie, if you ask me. I feel like the movie would have probably been bad if they went with that script, just due to being too hard to follow, and nothing really seemed like it would have had time to breathe, you know? Although, out of all the scripts I've mentioned so far, this one did at least seem like it fit the most with what FNaF is, which is a horror franchise where there's convoluted lore, and man kills kids who possess animatronics. Or at least getting the latter of those two things in the actual film, though. And at number 2 is going to be the Misfit Kid screenplay, which apparently was almost the script they actually went with before Cawthon decided on going with the Mike screenplay instead, which I'm pretty sure is the final script for the film. Apparently, if the Misfit Kid screenplay was decent enough to almost be the final script, and according to Scott Cawthon, it didn't have any major flaws by the looks of things. Feels like it probably could have been a decent FNaF movie. The only real issue, though, was there wasn't enough of a connection between the kid and Freddy's, which probably did hurt the script a good bit, but I feel like they could have still potentially made that work. And finally, at number 1, the canceled screenplay that I think would have made the best FNaF movie. Technically it's 3 screenplays in 1, but the general idea of it, the Silver Eyes screenplay. Honestly, I still think the Silver Eyes is the best FNaF book. Yes, even better than some of the Fazbear's fight stories. And you know what? I can see the Silver Eyes at least. Maybe not the twisted ones with the fourth closet, because things get a bit too weird in those. But the Silver Eyes, at least, I could totally see making as a movie. And the movie could be used to like fix up on a few smaller issues from the book, like a couple of side characters needing a bit more fleshing out, or a bit more horror included, because most of the horror in that book was saved for the 3rd act, and by most I mean like 99% of it. But who knows? Maybe William Afton in the movie is going to act somewhat similarly to his Silver Eyes counterpart once he gets revealed to be William Afton, which I think would be fun to see on screen, since William Afton in the Silver Eyes is genuinely a great villain there. It's a bit worse since the trilogy went on, but that's beside the point. Not to mention, this would have been a direct adaptation of a pre-existing FNaF story, which is already a more faithful adaptation than all the other cancelled scripts. Now, there was a bit of an issue since those were Scott Cawthon's first ever script writing attempts for a movie, so his inexperience at the time suffered from that. But he clearly got better as script deciding on went along, given the fact that he eventually managed to make a script that he actually did like. And you know what? Given what we see on the trailers, and what Scott Cawthon handed out about the Mike screenplay, I think he did go with the best possible screenplay for the movie. And that's going to be it for my ranking. Let me know what you would agree and disagree with in the ranking, and how you would rank the canceled scripts. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to support my channel. Although you technically don't have to do those to keep watching, but it's appreciated. And I'll be back in the next video. Have a great FNaF movie month!